Good evening. You are listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob. I've got the young 20-something Professor Pixel joining me tonight, especially one-on-one in the studio here in the Pinellas Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida, so we can bring you, ladies and gentlemen, our review of Season 4 of all 6 episodes of Columbo in order from worst to first, because we always like to start out, Pixel, with the stuff that we don't like and argue about it and fight, and then leave everybody with what the great thing is at the end that they need to see. And I got to tell you, for me, just talking about Columbo in general here as we dive into it, this has been one of our favorite reviews. It is the first watch for both of us, which I think is exciting. I do think that at this point in the Columbo episodes, I don't know if we're about halfway through approximately, let's just say. I think we know who the character is. I think the episodes are fairly mature in that we're not going to get too much deviation from it, maybe a variation on a theme here and there. And we have an idea of what we think we like or want, what works and what doesn't. I will say for me, the worst thing about Season 4 for Columbo, two things. One, and I say this with all seriousness, I was a bit disappointed overall in the women in this season because I felt like just they didn't have a strong of showing as they have in previous Columbo seasons in terms of being more central and focused to the story. And I don't mean being, killed off or a side piece or whatever, but just being more strong and independent where it meant something. It's not a horrible thing, but just I felt it was lacking. And the other thing about it too, in all seriousness, whatever I like and don't like or think is good or not good here, I just wish there was more episodes because 6 seems like it's so small. And I know that's how some of these things go. I wish there's like 7 or 8 where it feels like, okay, that's good. But I'm getting a little sad thinking we're halfway through and it's like, man, we're just burning right through these. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I feel that too.
The best thing about this season, though, is I don't feel like there was any real major deviations from what we had before. And that's not a boring thing. It's just a question of whether it worked in terms of execution and all that. So, very solid level of quality, I think, in all 6 episodes, regardless of what we think of them and all that, too. I'm curious before we start diving in with our worst of the 6 episodes for you, any general positives, negatives about the season you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, no, when we came back to Colombo, we had just finished with Hannibal, which I definitely enjoyed. But there is such a freshness, even though we are getting a lot of the same beats that we typically get in our seasons of Colombo. There's such an originality in the way that it's usually delivered. Um, this one, while yeah, it is shorter, um, I do feel like most of what we have to say about these episodes is positive. At least for how the main actor is acting with Columbo, there's something to be enjoyed in every one of these. Um, it's not like we're getting what was it in season one, the last episode that was not not very not catching our attention in the way we liked.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I think it's pretty true with most things. You want to grab the reader's attention or the viewer's attention first, and of course you want to leave on a high note too. And so whatever happens in between that's kind of the trick to it, right? Whether it's a great ending or phenomenal start, and did it fizzle out or did they make up for it? Those are the things I think most people remember. How you start and how you finish, like we say in sports. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Well, bullshit. It's both. You have a great start, you can have a little bit of a weak finish too, right? So with that being said, I'm gonna go with you first. I'm going to ask you out of the 6 episodes to give me your worst one. Now, for me, and maybe you might have a different thought of it. For me, worst is out of relative to just these 6 episodes only. If I were to give somebody a list of ones I would say, hey, this one I think you should watch, and then go all the way down, the one I would want you to watch least would be this one, and here's why. What is number 6 for you, sir?
Number six for me is Troubled Waters. Um,
This is
I
the
don't.
boat one.
This is the boat one. So here's the thing. This episode, it sounds like something that should go ahead and capture me. I loved the England episode. I love putting Columbo in a strange situation
Hmm.
and going ahead and acting on that. But when I was looking at these episodes, I kept coming back to Troubled Waters as just the weakest of these episodes. Um, while I do enjoy the killer, um, I feel like the kill itself, it's it's underwhelming because it's undone by a feather. It's undone by a freaking feather. And of all the things, I love when Columbo is able to go ahead and latch on to something early and be like, okay, here's the trail I'm going to follow. But when it's something so stupidly simple like that, it makes it a little harder to enjoy the story. That on top of the fact that he gets him by making him put his hand in a glove and forging that. Well, why would you do that, sir? It's just ah ah yeah. Sadly, this is the bottom of my list.
I can understand that. I think there's some valid points to that. When I get to that, I'll definitely be bringing some of those up. But for me, for number 6, the worst of season 4 for me, is probably one of your favorites. And I go back to Negative Reaction, the Dick Van Dyke episode, and it had nothing to do with Dick Van Dyke. It's just there's something off-putting about it that just didn't seem like it worked. Like on paper, when we talk about it and we go through everything, and intellectually, it sounds like everything is supposed to work. But when I'm watching the released felon who's doesn't realize he's being taken advantage of, and just some of the horrible acting and convenient stuff about it, it really just felt like, okay, are they trying to be campy? Is this guy trying not to act well? Is he supposed to be intellectually disabled or challenged or whatever like that, or whatever term you want to use? It just and it was weird because there's some scenes in it that I thought were pretty striking in terms of the way they were shot, but it just the whole convenience of the boozer and where he goes to whack the guy and all that too. I mean, it was I appreciate overly elaborate and more notes, rather than 2 notes, if I'm a guitarist or something like that, right? Like I can tend towards favoring going over the top a bit. I can. And I'm not saying they didn't try to in here, but for some reason, I just felt off, like I was off balance the entire time watching it. And maybe in a horror movie that would work, but not in a Columbo episode. I never felt like I got my footing in it for the entire thing. And honestly, I was very disappointed because that was early on a season, and I really got concerned. And I even rewatched it a time or two, just different times where like that, just in case it was me and I was in a bad mood. But for me, I just out of all these episodes, that one's the toughest watch, I think, for me. Any comments?
Uh, I'll save it. I'll save it because I want to talk about that episode later when I bring it
Sure,
up.
I'm sure you do. Okay,
Uh,
so ladies and oh, go ahead.
well, we're just moving on to number 5, right?
Yeah, from Columbo, Ken, from Toronto, Ken. Yo, Ken, you're sure your name's not Kurt, is it, Ken? Anyway, um, no, anyway, that's good stuff there. Love it a lot here, guys. Columbo is one of our favorite things we've discovered watching, and even though I've known about it, I've never watched it, and I'm in my 50s and Pixel's in his 20s, so we've got 2 generations talking about this. So this is pretty exciting stuff. We rank every season too, so we have those, and we'll be definitely doing it for the rest of Columbo as well. Yeah, so number 5, Pixel, your next worst one. What would that be for you?
We have to go all the way to the end of this season. And I was debating which one I wanted to put in which spot.
Okay.
But actually, just a few moments ago, I decided number 5 for me is The Deadly State of Mind. I like a lot about this one. I like the opening scene where you have the woman under hypnosis and he's coming in with his voice in such a soft manner that I want to enjoy it. But when you get down to the plausibility of Columbo solving this, it's ridiculous. It comes down to a blind man, and then actually, it's the fact that the blind man's brother looks similar to him. If if it was one of my brothers, for example, couldn't be done. Couldn't be done. None of my brothers look well, except my younger one looks close to me though, as I've matured. Um, so it's not. It's something that's just a little too silly. Even though I love the performances, I love the double kill. It's just not executed properly, and that's a sad thing to feel.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because I remember distinctly when we did these previous seasons, we both, for the most part, had a clear cut top one or two or three. Like, the top ones were fairly close. Maybe we had one and two flipped or whatever. And it was interesting because where ours really deviated were the ones kind of in the middle. Like you might have had one at three and I might have had it like at six or something. And so I'm wondering how this is going to go with only six episodes because for me, at number five, I have to go with Troubled Waters. And I feel a little sad saying this because this one had some weird stuff to it that I really liked, and it was kind of kooky. And I love me some Robert Vaughn, and I love him giving himself a heart attack in the pool. I mean, this just sounds so great. I'm smiling saying it, and everything too, but just I agree with you when you said that sometimes it just doesn't execute well, and the whole feather thing cannot be ignored. Um, it's just there's some good star power in here, and honestly, I like the idea that hey, okay, he's fish out of water, right? We're seeing something we haven't seen before, and by 70 standards, except for the Love Boat, if you haven't been on a cruise or went to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, because you won it on The Price is Right, well then, boom, you get something like this. So this is kind of cool. There's so many wonderful ingredients to this episode, and somehow I think they just didn't like season it or something. I don't know. I can't put my finger on what's missing. Even the girl getting whacked was kind of weird and shot. It just and the Columbo and the detective work and the counting and all that stuff from here and there and watching because they filmed it on a real cruise thing. This is cool stuff. But at the end of the day, I go, it's like white rice. I can eat as much of it as I want, can tell you how great it's been cooked. But at the end of the day, I'm hungry in 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Or I feel get a little bloaty or I have it, I get eat too much and my joints get inflamed if you react in such a manner. That's what it is. There's just something missing from here. And maybe I'm being spoiled by how much the stronger episodes of Columbo maybe goes, yes, now that's an episode. This was not bad. I'm not saying anything negative about it. Maybe I just wasn't entertained. Maybe it just passed the time. I don't know how else to say it.
No, you're more than fair. More than fair.
All right. Number 4.
Well, we have to still stay towards the end of the season, and it's going to be Playback. When we reviewed it, I made it pretty clear that I wasn't the biggest fan of this episode. What's the name of the killer, the actor, Werner? It's right there on the tip of my tongue, but I can't get it. He
What episode? I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of what you were
Playback.
saying. Playback. Gotcha.
With the I was trying to think of the actor's name of
It's
that.
Oscar Warner in Playback. Yes.
Oscar Werner. Yes. He I enjoy his performance in it, but the actual mystery itself, him trying to avoid with such ridiculous leaps. If he scuffs the ground with his shoes and then he claims, well, maybe he took them off when he climbed in. And Columbo's looking at him like, oh, what the hell are you talking about?
You
It's
fucking
the
idiot.
stupidest thing. So dumb from a man that's supposed to be so smart because he's recorded the room and delayed the murder in the eyes of the security guard that he has. It's trying to be show offy with that. And actually, this is the one with that art scene too, right? Where Columbo looks at a frickin' air vent and says, "And what's that piece?"
You popped hard for that though, bro.
You did.
Well, I know I did.
I did not. It's one of those scenes that is trying to show that charm that Columbo has with oh well, he's not as quick to the ways of the world and he'll learn things as he goes. It was dumb. It was largely unnecessary. And it was. I can't remember if he actually gained any positive information other than the fact that oh, he was there at the gallery.
Well, at least we're laughing now instead of crying.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
worse, the worst thing I could say about Troubled Waters for my number 5 one was the fact that it's kind of forgettable. And that's not a bad thing, but it's also not a good thing. Because for me at number 4, it's Deadly State of Mind. And like you, the resolution, I was like, Yeah, that's it. Okay. Really? You're doing that? Okay. And they did things right in here, but like the previous two episodes that to me weren't all that good, very similar theme here. They've got some good elements. I just don't think they stuck them. Some stuff you can let pass or go, like a dumb comedy scene, or God forbid a dog, which you didn't mention. I thought you were going to, which I think
No,
both. Even though I'm a
see,
big
but
animal
here's the
person.
thing. One of the redeemable things about playback is the fact that the dog is there and has that scene with the wife. That the
Yes.
one time the dog is actually a benefit to the show. Uh,
But that's normally up to this point that hasn't been the case, right? So to me, I just think it's not a bad episode, but if I had to trim 3 episodes off, that for me, that's kind of what it would be. So I think we've both done 3 episodes that we would trim off. For me, I'll just say at number 6, I had I've already crossed out, can't even read it right now. Negative Reaction, which is the Dick Van Dyke. Troubled Waters at 5, and Deadly State of Mind is number 4. Now, if I go from worst to first, I think they've gotten better in terms of quality or enjoyment, generally speaking. What about your bottom 3, sir?
Yeah, my bottom three thus far have been Troubled Waters at the bottom, Deadly State of Mind. Actually, I might have to switch it around because I realize how much I dislike playback. But no, 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 no. I'm keeping it. Troubled Waters at 6, A Deadly State of Mind at 5, and at 4 we have playback.
Okay. So we could say top 3. I do think for me, and this is where you and I may differ, but like when I mentioned earlier tonight about how we kind of almost had like the top ones, it doesn't seem like it's necessarily going to be the case now just by elimination. That being said, I think these top 3 episodes are very strong. I think they go strong to strong to strongest, and so it's getting really tough, especially my top 2 is very difficult call. What do you have for your, I should say, third best of season 4 episodes for Columbo, sir?
Well, that's what's at your bottom. Negative Reaction is my number 3.
Yeah. Why
Yeah,
was it so
yeah.
good?
I enjoyed Dick Van Dyke's performance in this episode. I think that the kill isn't delivered in such a way that feels as ridiculous as we've gotten with these past 3 that I've mentioned. Um, the setup is there. I think Dick Van Dyke being played as going ahead and he's telling Columbo to basically buzz off in every other scene. And it's great because we never have that. Most of the time, it's somebody trying to appease Columbo and trying to be like, oh, yeah, well, maybe. And here, Dick Van Dyke's like, no, I don't want to talk about this. My wife's been kidnapped. My wife was kidnapped and killed.
Mhm.
Why are you here treating me like the victim? It's a smart way to play it. I think you've made some comments about it about his side piece in there, his assistant going with him on a trip to the Philippines. Maybe they could have developed that a little more, um, helped flesh that. But for me, it feels like a solid episode. I like pretty much everything about it, even the gotcha at the end.
One of the
Did you
issues,
see him grab that camera? Did you see him?
yeah, it's just when I mentioned at the beginning here about the women not being as strong as they normally are, what I mean by that is that if you take it seriously at face value here, what Columbo is basically a middle class guy running around the world of rich elite people for the most part. I'm not going to say the uber elites and all the NWO type conspiracy theory groups and all organizations. We're not being political here, but he runs around with rich people basically, right? And so he has to deal with rich people and their attitudes and their problems. And so the thing with Dick Van Dyke, his approach, I liked it, and I think it was reasonable that a young woman would be attracted to him. But I just felt like a lot of that stuff was neutered, and Columbo had a very good way of dealing with feminism a little bit, whether a lot of the women are walking around in the shows without their bras on or whatever. It's not just the eye candy thing as a guy I'm saying it. They meant something to the episode. And right now, like, Troubled Waters had the singer who was basically blackmailing the guy, and you're like, yeah, go ahead, die. I don't really care. It's just some of the best scenes we've had in Columbo up to this point have been where either it's been an accident or somebody squirming, but you can kind of understand both sides. And so it creates this natural tension rather than a just, yeah, I want you to die. I can't wait for you to die. All right, now you're dead. Now I don't feel as bad. And it's tough because it's not as clear cut. For me, I've got to say, one of the first episodes that, if you go back to the two, we did season 1 first, just so everybody knows. And we had such a strong reaction from the audience that loves Columbo that they said, hey, you guys skipped doing the 2 pilot ones. You should go back and do them. And the idea was that because they were made for TV movies, we chose not to do them. But because of that, we went back, and I'm glad we did. And I wish we would have started with that, right? That was a decision that we made, and it's fine. So all good. But those first few movies felt big, and they felt like movies. And you're like, man, this was on TV 2 generations ago. I got to tell you, in my bond of 3, I didn't get that vibe at all. But in my number 3rd best of all of them, it's playback for a lot more reasons than just the dog scene with the woman. Because I tell you, she was probably one of the strongest in this entire whole season. She's crippled. She's got challenge. She's physically challenged. I thought she was sensational, and her acting at the end when she was crying when he loses it, that scene still sticks with me at the end. Forget the gotchas and all that other kind of stuff for how dopey. You struggled at the very beginning initially with the technological aspect of it, and being older and remembering all this analog stuff. I can see where at the time it was a big deal, and where your age, you're like, no, it's stupid and it has nothing to do with the technology, Rob. And you're like, it's this and that. And I don't dispute that. I don't care necessarily about the craftiness of the kill or cover up, although that can be cool. What really makes it great was the fact that mother-in-law is snipping at his ass, and he's a little bit of a bastard because he's snipping back at her and all that too, and he's doting on his wife, but yet his wife's super naive, and it's really heartbreaking to see her get crushed. And then Columbo, to your point, pointing out what a fucking idiot you are, but they're in a really rich home. It looked sumptuous in there and all that. So we're getting some of these tastes and flavors of that lifestyles of the rich and famous that we kind of didn't in my Bond of 3 episodes. And for me, it worked. And honestly, my biggest issue is the way the guy looked because of that stupid fucking hair. But the bottom line is his performance was so damn good. It overcame that, which is not easy. And you guys have seen this episode. You know what we're talking about with his hair. So to me, there's a huge gap between my top 3 and my bottom 3, and it starts with playback. Comments?
Well, I've already talked about playback. I don't want to disparage more than I already have.
All right. All right. So for you, we're down to 2, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Your next best one. Set it up for us and then tell us what it is.
Well, you see, when we finished Hannibal, there was this excitement to come back to Columbo and see, just go ahead and live this little span of time that we have where we come back to this.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens right away with an exercise and fatality. I love the kill in this. It is elaborate, but he makes it quick. He has to make the plan quick because the guy's gonna get him. He has all this information he's gathering, and he's going to find that piece that'll go ahead and take him to court at least, but it's probably going to take him to prison. So he sets up this kill. He has so much charm, and when it comes down to it being done, and then he's all the way at his party once the time of death is supposed to be, I feel like this is in a way, this is a better playback, I spoke with him on the phone.
Yeah.
Out of the 2 delayed deaths, this is the better one, and I really do love this episode.
There's a lot of positive things to say about that episode for sure, especially being in our top 2. We would obviously, everyone would expect us to gush about how great they are, and a lot of these are relative rankings, right? It doesn't mean that my worst one here is not better than all of season 2, let's say, or 3. I mean, not that it probably is, but it's going to be a much bigger exercise to rank them all kind of like together that way, and then change it the more we see, right? And we've got years ahead of us and several seasons to to take that out. I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm very conflicted here, and this is one of the toughest decisions that I've had to make in the 4 seasons of Columbo reviewing it, because I might like something and acknowledge that I don't think it's very good. Like if someone said to you, "Hey, Rob, I know you like this episode, but I don't get it," that's a taste thing. But if they said, "Hey, I saw that episode. I see what you're talking about, what Columbo is, how he solves stuff, how it works, what an episode should be, and the structure of it, and the template, and all those kinds of things," you would get it. Like there's so many songs out there that have, like, say, a 12-bar blues progression, right? Bum, 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 da, 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 1 4 5 4, whatever, and they're all sound the same. They all have the same structure, right? But you would understand what the structure is. That doesn't mean it's your favorite music, but you might hear something that's a little weird or off, and then for some reason the uniqueness of it gets to you, and that's fine. And I'm really torn because I will preface this: my number one episode, I will die on the hill and say that in season 4, it's the best Columbo episode. So if I had to eliminate 5 of them, I would, and leave you with this one. That being said, this hurts me because I have to agree with you, and I love them even more, and it's a more fun episode to me, and my personal favorite. I got to go Exercise and Fatality at number 2 with the great fucking Robert Conrad, who I love, was one of my early idols watching the Wild Wild West with my dad and all that, because he's everything we want in a killer. He's smart, he's successful. To your point, the kill is kind of interesting. It's an episode of the time where we've talked about before the fitness movements and all the self-help things coming to fruition in the 60s and 70s, and starting in California. And if you didn't know anything about Robert Conrad, you look at him and go, "Damn, that's a good looking man. Damn, I understand why that chick's walking around in a bikini. Damn, this is a badass motherfucker. This is a Columbo episode. Oh wait, he's inviting people to watch porn at his place or whatever like that, and he's got this overly elaborate way of hiding it with the phone call." It's a fantastic episode. It's my favorite, but it's not the best. And
No.
best does not mean fun. It's so damn good. And I'm looking at them too, and I'm like, I just, my hand is twitching a little bit because I'm left-handed, and I've got the pen in my hand, and I have to set it down because a part of me wants to go, "No, because I like it, it's the best." And I recognize that it's not. But Exercise of Fatality, tremendous episode. Love it. The him getting pissed at the end and all that. Robert Conrad brings it. He's the man. I mean, he is the man. But wow, what can I say? I think we both have a consensus number 1. So why don't you review your 6 through 5, and then I'll do that, and then we'll both talk about the best episode. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we have no idea what these rankings are with each other. We always do this cold, off the cuff. We don't research anything. That's the beauty of the show. Why don't you go ahead and review yours real quick?
Yep. My list started at the bottom with Troubled Waters, followed by A Deadly State of Mind, which, while I love the setting for it, unfortunately, it doesn't end in such a way that I can fully be on board. I've watched the episode 3 times, but I can't support it.
Yeah.
Next is Playback, a delayed killing that is supposed to feel like the future is now, but the future feels fake. Next is Negative Reaction. Not as strong as our other 2 episodes, but for me, felt like it did a decent job with the kill and with the gotcha moment right there at the end. Followed by An Exercise in Fatality, which we both agree is a fantastic episode. Love this episode. This might be a top 10 episode, but it does not compare to number 1.
Yeah. For me, Negative Reaction at 6, Troubled Waters at 5, Deadly State at 4. Big jump there too, because I think Playback he's the guy's a real typical villain. And honestly, I think out of all the scenes, for the most part, the lady sitting there shocked again, that just stays with me. It's really up there in all of them. I think it's an all-timer so far up to this point. It's 4 seasons in. I think it's great. Exercise and Fatality for me at number 2. I think it's the funnest episode of all these, and sometimes in these Columbo episodes we don't get fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. When they're serious, which is what I tend to go towards sometimes in the Columbo episodes, I think they're better because I always thought he was a goof, and so I didn't want to watch it, right? I didn't get what the attraction was, the way people would explain it to me. But yeah, I mean, I think there's obviously a clear cut number one here too that I think blew us both away. Why don't you go ahead and let people know what you think about it, sir?
If you've been on this channel for some time, you know, from a while back, we reviewed The Prisoner, which while we had some problems with how the direction of the show went, there is one constant that we always appreciated, and that was Patrick McGowan. And that's here too with By Dawn's Early Light. It is a serious episode. It is Columbo in a scenario that isn't usual for us. He's staying at this school, but it starts quiet. Him building pretty much his explosive to set aside, and it's fantastic. I I was going ahead and I was trying to spew the word salad, but the word salad isn't working out because this episode is just so good. From the kill to the catch to Columbo interacting with Patrick McGowan's character. This character feels the most fleshed out. He's a man that's been hasn't had a life other than this school. And at the very end, he talks about how, oh well, I don't regret it. Don't go looking for remorse. I have none. I would do it again. And he's at the very end when he's caught for murder. He's still just worried about that school. And Columbo tries to ease his mind. It'll go on. And he lets him give one last order. This episode ends. I think I watched this one 4 times.
Really?
Fantastic.
Wow.
Great episode. And it is seriously a top 5 contender.
This episode is at the end of the day, the question I asked myself, if I had to eliminate 5 of them and only give somebody one of these episodes for this season to explain what Columbo is and show them how great a TV show can be, it's this episode. And I love Exercise Mentality. To me, that's more of a watchable episode. I had more fun, enjoy watching it. It's cuter, it's sexier, it's just good banter and all that. But this is fucking really, really good. And McGowan, we usually, you and I, you being, a generation younger, I always say, part of my job here is to force you to watch all the James Bond movies because you haven't really seen them. And so what we do is whenever we break between a season of season of a TV show and go on to a new one, we always break it up by doing a week of a Bond movie, right? And we're finishing up the Pierce Brosnan films here as we then transition into unfortunately the worst of the series, in my opinion, the Daniel Craig ones, which you may or may not agree with when we get to them. And I always thought to myself, hey, here's a young guy. How's he going to know this kind of stuff or whatever? And it's just the stuff that McGowan was able to do young is with the prisoner. Prisoner, to your point, and you may or may not know this, I'm going to reveal it live here on the Xtreme Movie Show. When we did that, he really only wanted 6 episodes. And those were all the episodes we thought were fantastic. The others were filler shit just to make it a season so they could package and sell it. And he always had creative control. We loved The Prisoner, or at least I did, and I forced you to watch that too. That's on me, sir. I'll take that hit, but it'll pay off in spades as you get older. Because again, he's the guy that did Secret Agent Man. He's also the guy, Danger Man. He's the guy that they think with The Prisoner, all 3 of those are the same character. And that was the first metaphysical, oh my fucking God, this guy's doing insane weird stuff, because all the government stuff that comes into conspiracy theories, McGowan at first. All the stuff about liberty and individual now, and even though he's British, is from that. About what's happening in World War IV and all that. This guy is a thinker, pure and simple. And when you see him sweating at the beginning of this episode with the bomb, you don't know if he's going to blow something up, what's going to happen, and you're hooked instantly. Not when Oscar comes on screen with that fucking hair, I don't care if he's got a great looking ascot and a decent voice and acts well. I'm distracted by him. When I see McGowan on there sweating, it works. And the wife beater, like you said. And then he's looking at his watch. We're watching what he's doing. We're not having to listen to people talk to explain and set shit up like they do in all writing and movies today. This is such a fantastically acted episode. It may be a top 5 up to this point. I agree with you. It's absolutely great. But I think the 2 things that really define for me, and I was going to ask you what your thoughts are on this, is that generally speaking, I don't think it's the quality of the kill or the cover up that adds a lot to the Columbo episodes. I may be wrong. I'm talking off the cuff here. I think the second most important thing that makes a Columbo episode is how good is the bad guy. We say that the good guy or the goodness of an episode can only be as good as the bad guy, and that's why everybody loves Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, because of how great Khan was in there. But at the same time, I think the thing that makes it even better, and we don't get this often, is that this is very much an episode that reminds me of any old Port in the Storm, the wine episode with Donald Pleasance and their interactions. It's one thing if I ask you a question and you respond and I'm the interviewer and it goes back and forth. It's another thing if you then ask me something and then we have a conversation and then it takes on a life and an energy of its own. When these two guys are on screen, that's what happens. And when it happens on TV or film, it is rare. To sit back and watch them two interact, McGowan's so subtle with the way he does everything. He's not an over-the-top kind of guy. Holy shit, what a phenomenal episode. I was stunned watching it. This easily is one of those top 5 episodes, Pixel. It is fantastic. The only fault I thought I could find with it, and I was being nitpicky at the time, was okay, if you weren't watching or you're daydreaming just for a split second, you didn't see the jar of cider being hid that they did the crash zoom on, you might have missed what the hell's the big deal about it. Why is it important? Everything else makes sense. And that's an editing thing. Half a second longer on there, it's, but it's, I mean, and I'm scraping the barrel here. I have a tough time finding any flaws with this at all, other than there's no hot women in it.
Yeah.
There kind of is, but in a different way, but not really. It's just different, and this is the essence of Columbo. It's not the swinging 70s and the sexiness of it, and the outfits and uniform, or the lovely part in the episode where Columbo goes crazy over the air vent. That popped the shit out of me. And I'm usually not up for Columbo cute stuff, right? But man, just these two there, and man, it is so good. I'm like, how do you write an episode of television better than that? I don't know how. It really ranks up there as probably one of the best. I think he won an Emmy for it actually because of how good he acted in it. And I'm dead serious. And I think hopefully he's got 3 more episodes, and we're going to get to those at some point as a review. I am so looking forward to it. He is golden everything he does. Silver Streak. He was in a movie with Gene Wilder in it, who I've always loved, and some other things. The guy's just freaking gold. But you look at him, he looks like an everyman. I mean, I'm not saying anything that you probably haven't already expressed. Is there anything more we can say about how great that episode is?
I don't think so. We talked about it when we reviewed it, and I think we've talked about it here. It is something that pulls in. I know you didn't notice the cider. I noticed that on the first watch, and I knew it was going to come in, and so I didn't miss a thing, didn't miss a beat. It was all. I
think I was making
everything.
a drink and came back and went, "What'd I miss? I don't know. What the hell are they talking about? Okay, let me rewind it. Oh, the cider. Okay, they're running some alcohol. I get it.
Yep. Nope.
But it's
I
not
don't.
because they were drinking. It's not because they were drinking. They were getting drunk and something bad happened and people had to cover it up. It's because all the kids were following a code of not narking on each other or whatever. And it was the fact that you could only see it there. So, like you said at the end, when you got the reveal, you're like, damn it, that's good.
Yep.
So simple. So simple. Right there in your face.
It's the only way he could have seen it. And it's something that you were talking about, asking me what I think comes into a great Columbo episode. You're absolutely right that the connection between Columbo and the killer is important, and that can manifest in different ways. Here, it's like any old Port in the Storm, where he does share moments with Columbo, and it's not an adversarial thing. Or there is that like we had with what is it, Leonard Nimoy, and
God, he's the worst villain, but he's the best in the way. He's the most evil of all of them.
He's absolutely evil.
A bastard.
I can't remember the name of the episode. A Stitch in Crime.
Yeah.
It's
that's fucking good.
I need the connection, but I do need the mystery to come in, because the thing is with Columbo, I've watched a lot of murder mystery shows. The thing with Columbo is they're delivering the answers to you all at the beginning. So it has to be able to hook you in. You have to want Columbo to find the pieces and the little things that come together. It's why when I talked about Troubled Waters, it was served to him on a silver platter, and it was stupid. It was stupidly delivered to him.
Mhm.
But here, everything is brilliant. This is a fantastic episode. Um, definitely, definitely in my top 5. When we get to the end of this series, we're going to have to go through all of our episodes and try to figure out that monstrosity of a list. But I love this episode.
Can
Overall,
you
it's been a fine
go ahead?
season. It's been a fine season.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, it started off strong. I wasn't as big a fan as you were as Negative Reaction, which is the second episode we did. Dawn Zerlite blew me away. So we're halfway through the season. I'm thinking, hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And they're really, really strong. And while I didn't hate Negative Reaction, it just didn't sit well with me. So it's like, like I ate a bad meal or something. Okay, let it go. Go eat the meal again. Don't be whatever. But Troubled Waters, I went, uh-oh. And then Playback, I went, okay. And the Daily Stimulus, I'm like, eh. So to me, it kind of halfway started tailing off a little bit or whatever. Not that it was horrible, but you know, I don't know, man. When you've got Jack Cassidy, Friend Indeed was fantastic way to end season 3. That was a really strong finish. That was batshit. And obviously there's more episodes there too, but it's just generally speaking, I don't really know how to look at it as far as like, well, is season 1 the best out of the 4 because you've got Murder by the Book, which is great. Deathlands at Hand. We both loved Suitable Framing. We didn't care for Short Fuse. Blueprint for Murder was all right. Lady in Waiting was interesting. I kind of liked it. I think more than you. Columbo season 2. I still can't get over the ice cream stuff, right? Greenhouse Jungle, we don't care about. Dagger of the Mind, interesting. Not for me, not for anybody. Just sort of out there. Sometimes you get a weird one. Requiem for a Falling Star, it's a great title, but then they've got a Stitch in Crime, and you're like, damn it. And then they've got Double Shock, and it's like, it's hard for me to compare and say this season's better than that because some got a few more episodes or whatever. But I don't know. This one, generally speaking, I've appreciated that probably my top 4 episodes are not in any 1 or 2 seasons, at least to this point. Maybe that will change based on how they're relative, but easily I could take this one episode here by Dawn's Early Light and go, hey, I could put that up over a Stitch and Crime or any old Portland Storm. I think we got ourselves a Pier 6 brawler. I think we got the main event and the pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go 15 rounds and try to figure that out. So at some point we'll have to figure out how to filter all those out. And looking forward to season 5, we've got Robert Vaughn again. We have Ricardo Montalban. We've got Jack Cassidy yet again. I forget her name off the top of my head, but we have another 6-episode season, and I know nothing about it and have not seen them. So it'll be interesting when we get to all that too. Any other final thoughts for you, sir?
Just been glad to review this show with you, good sir.
It's been very fun. I think the most fun I've had with you reviewing a show, and I'm not going to say this is the best show. I think the most fun I've had, and it feels like it went by in a blur, was season 1 of when we did the Granada TV series Sherlock Holmes with Jeremy Brett. Man, I couldn't wait to talk about one of those episodes. I have that same vibe when we talk about Columbo. Columbo's that fun there too. And I think we both feel the same about it. It's really, really good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Season 4 episodes, worst to first, ranked. Let us know what you think there. By all means, post them. Next week, join us as we transition to our next season 2 of a television show that we're going to be watching, and that is Forever Night, the vampire who wants to do right and not drink blood. A Canadian show because Canadians are nice people, so the vampires are nice. Some of our super fans of this show from the 90s, really told us how great and how wonderful it is and how it's changed and gotten even better in season 2. I'm interested because it's kind of routine. It's kind of lighthearted, but we're going to be going into that. And then obviously towards that end of that season, we'll be pivoting back to Columbo for another one too, as the fall moves around there too. I want to thank Pixel, you for showing up tonight, and all the fans, Ken from where he's at, and all the other people. I know Marania's listening to that. I know Eric Brain is joining the club as well as RDV and all that too. So it's great. Toronto, Canada, Ken, go Maple Leafs. There you go. Good night now.
One more thing. No, not anymore.